people of the internet. Ian Altosaar, the Freedom Astrologer, once again here, and this time I'm going to bring you a dose of spiritual freedom or a dose of energetic freedom, because in this video I'm going to dissect and talk about quite an interesting topic, and this is to do with energy healing. It's to do with communication with other realms, with spirits, with energies, with our spirit guides. And you can see on my left already there's a peculiar image here as well, and I'm going to kind of explain what this means as we go along. And I'm actually hoping this video helps you understand these experiences more, helps you to kind of dissect them on your own as well, and to step into more communication with the spiritual realm, the spiritual world, and bring that knowledge and that wisdom into the practical reality and practical world, in order for it to be used as well, because I think this is one of the things that is very much lacking. And there are many spiritual topics and things, and these things are discussed and so on and so forth, but there's a need for practical spiritual knowledge that can be used in the world, that can or people can literally take to the streets in their lives, into their lives, can actually use it for their benefit and for the benefit of others as well. So, and I'm actually, first time I'm publishing this video is going to be a very Pisces season as well. So if you're here for the astrology, there isn't going to be much astrology in this specific video, but I'm publishing during Pisces season. Jupiter in Pisces forming that conjunction, or starting to form that conjunction to Neptune, and also Sun starting to form that conjunction to Jupiter, which is interesting. So a lot of Pisces energy. This is one of the reasons I picked this topic for this Pisces season. But if you're watching this later on, still the information in this video is still valid, and you can hopefully start using it in your real life. So a lot of this video is going to be also about how some of my personal experience, or one of my personal experiences with these realities, with these realms, and how I started actually observing, dissecting it, approaching it from let's say more scientific mindset, and how that scientific mindset actually helped me to start using this what I'm about to share with you in the real world. Yeah, I think let's just dive in, and let's just start going. Let's start moving, and I will do my best to explain it as clearly as possible. So around 2012, so right now I'm recording this around 2022, or exactly 7th of February 2022, and for about 10 years I'm been observing a phenomenon in my own experience that I let's say, at first it seemed a very strange one. So around 2012 I went to go see a energy healer, a Reiki healer. It was something I hadn't done before. That world was completely new to me. I was taken there by my then girlfriend, or she kind of introduced me to the healer, and I decided to, okay, so let's give it a shot. It sounds interesting. I don't know what to think about this, but she made it sound interesting, and I didn't know anything basically about spirituality, energies, energy healing, astrology, maybe tiny bits and pieces here, but yeah, totally not aware of almost anything that was let's say in or away from the more material and practical reality. Now, I went to that healer, and that was kind of my starting point for my spiritual awakening journey in general. But what also started happening after that healing session, which was very powerful, I hadn't really experienced anything like that before. And a lot of things happened in that session afterwards. A lot of emotional openings, a lot of energetic openings, we can say that. But one of the things that quite soon after that session, after that emotional processing was done, for me, what started happening is I started seeing these types of energy spheres, white energy spheres, that I didn't know, I hadn't seen before. At the first time I saw them, it was even kind of like almost like scary, but it was interesting. It was what's happening? What is it? You know, and this is one of the places I would like to bring in the image that I have on my left. So this is the best image I could find that can even a tiny bit, a little bit, show you what I was experiencing, and I'm still experiencing these things to this day. What is a little bit different here? Yes, it seemed at times, or it still seems, that these spheres come almost from my consciousness or from my body. Sometimes they're even, let's say, already outside, and you can see, even on the image, you can see white spheres around that person or that human body as well. So this is what started happening. I started seeing these white spheres appear to me quite randomly at first, it seemed. And, I think this is a good segue to also say the reason I'm sharing this story, and I'm going to get deeper and deeper into it, is to help you understand if you're going through something, you don't know what it is, you're seeing things, you're kind of like feeling things, and you don't know what they are, might think you're going crazy. When you ask other people, they can't see them, and it seems like you alone can only see them and experience what it is that they're doing in the moment. So I'm kind of here basically to say that you're crazy. There's a reason. There's an explanation for everything, and everything doesn't have to be all woo-woo, and we can approach these interactions with the spiritual realm from a very, also, yes, we can approach them from an intuitive place as well, but very important to approach it from a scientific, let's prove these things way as from perspective as well. Sorry. Now, so at first I didn't know what to make of this experience, and I was like confused, and I was like, oh, and I was asking, even asked that energy healer, and she didn't really give me an exact answer, and that happened to me as the years went on, basically. And the let's say the closest answers I got from, let's say, these intuitive people, these energy healers, these psychics at times, and I went to ask them, and the best answer I got from them was actually, okay, so it's hard to tell exactly what they are and what they're here to do, but this is where you need to start observing, you need to start making contact, you need to start making sense of what is happening actually here with these energies. And that was the only kind of rope I had, a lifeline in a way. It wasn't anything too dramatic, but I did my best to start communicating with them, asking questions, and even at first it wasn't even asking questions, it was just writing down when they appeared, and started observing after what happens and what came up. And these what I'm about to share with you next are some of these findings, and actually in the end I'm going to show you what these energies came or still are coming to do with me, or to help me in a way. And I think here is a good part to mention. Later on my journey, a couple of people came into my sphere, one physically, the other one in the form of books, that made it seem more logical, more kind of understandable. So the one person who came into my life physically is Joe Greenland. His partner's website is in the link below. I still work with these people. I trust them, and he gave me a lot of good feedback on what they are, about guides and spirit guides, and he shared some stories and taught me also how to start more communicating with them, start asking questions, start let's say being in more direct connection with them instead of just looking at them. And the other one is Barbara Ann Brennan. I've talked about her in my previous videos as well, so I recommend her books definitely. There are 3 main books. I'm even reading one right now. It's a really good one. Core Light Healing, Hands of Light. These are the ones I've read already or reading. I recommend these definitely. And she also explains these phenomena quite well. But having said that now, guys, one of the weirdest things here with these phenomena is these can be, and one of the biggest points of this video also, so please pay attention. So these phenomena very often can be very, very specific to you personally. So what I mean by that, so I can stand here and talk, some spiritual healer, guide, shaman can, say their feedback to you. But the really important part is to start communicating, start making observations yourself. So I'm going to share my observations, but your phenomena might need your observations and to learn. But I hope some of these that I'm going to share with you might help you as well. So let's go into it. And so the first thing I started noticing is very often these spheres appeared, sometimes they appeared lighter, sometimes dimmer, sometimes for longer periods of times I was, sometimes I was, in the office, or even even once I was skinny dipping, literally in Norway, in a lake, in a freezing lake from a sauna, and I jumped into the lake, and there they were again, and they appeared almost seemingly everywhere, even when I was playing basketball, for example. Weird places, even having conversation with my spouse, my fiance, every social situation basically they could appear, show themselves. And one of the things I started noticing quite quickly is they all very often appeared 3 days or 7 days before some sort of emotional event in my life would happen or go down, let's say. Very rarely it was, and still is, very rarely it has been that an emotional event in my life or around me, this is also important, it doesn't always have to be in your life or in my life. It can be around me with someone else. With somebody else gets a reaction, somebody else's emotions get triggered in some shape or form. Sometimes it happens, even 5 minutes before, but that was very rarely. Most often 3 to 7 days before something happened within me, around me, an emotional event that was usually some sort of more like a triggering of some sort, or somebody's emotions were kind of put or went through the roof, and sometimes it was my own. So this is important. Again, I mentioned sometimes dimmer, sometimes brighter, sometimes longer, sometimes a little less. And one of the biggest observations with this part is sometimes whenever they were brighter, the more intense the event. Dimmer, the less intense the event. The longer, the bigger the event. The less time they appeared and showed themselves to me, and even I would say sometimes they were more, sometimes they were less. The more they were, the more intense. The less intense. Quite simple in a way. But it takes time at first and definitely to understand what is it that actually showing to you, because I think this is again a very important point. They are most often, when these energies come to contact, to be with you, they're still coming in to show you something, to kind of, even in my case, as you can already guess, it was kind of like to warm me, to prepare me for something. And I want to say, not all energies and things are benevolent, but these white spheres, in my experience and in my life, have been actually very benevolent, kind of coming in to guide me, to prepare me for something that is about to happen. Now, let's move onwards. And yeah, so every weird place you can imagine in life, they would sometimes come. And so what I started also doing, which was, I don't know if it was a mistake, but it actually helped me forwards. But this is where I would be a little bit careful. So not a lot of people are ready to receive it. And what I did, I started asking, when they appeared, and when I was with a person who, let's say, would be, or we can describe as more spiritually open, maybe more in tune with energy, stuff like that. They know about, previous lives, next lives, spiritual things. Let's put it that way. But things that are still, in our mainstream society called taboo, crazy, stupid, all these names. And what I started doing with these people is when they appeared, I started asking them, okay, so I'm seeing this. Are you also seeing this? Are you experiencing what I'm experiencing? So I was hoping, in a way, that somebody would say yes, and I'm seeing them. Oh, nice, who we can do it together, or maybe we can understand them better, and I see them too. Maybe exchange information, exchange observations. But none of them, literally none of them, could see them at the same time I could see them. So this is where I was, a bit like, okay, so am I going crazy, or what the hell is happening here? And why am I'm the only one who's seeing them? And it was strange. It was kind of like weird after that, but something inside of me was like, you're not crazy. It's okay. These are good forces. There's, although my mind was kind of like doubtful and almost like doubting these things. Everything, my intuitive feeling sense, emotional senses were kind of saying, it's okay. Just make observations, move forward. But at times there was frustration, definitely. So I won't be like, oh, it was so just happy, days and my guides and me, just chilling. No, it wasn't like that at all. I got frustrated. I was like, why are you here? Why aren't you more clear with me? Stuff like that. So I got a little bit frustrated there as well. So this is one of the really important pieces, because it's important to understand that we are all very different, and these energies, these communications happen on a very different level for us as humans as well, and not everybody has the answers you're seeking. This is one of the places where I'm really urging you to follow your guidance, follow your intuition, ask questions, do the observations, start looking, what's happening, and start really doing that for yourself as well, because others might not be able to help you. but at times they can maybe give you a little piece here and there for you, or in order for you to make it more understandable for yourself, and in a way that you can actually use these things to prepare for let's say events, in this case. And this is what started happening for me, because I started writing down, okay, so this is when they appeared, okay, and again, a week later, 3 days later, a couple of days later, something happened. Made those observations constantly, and then in the end, or in the end, maybe that's not the right word, but basically started understanding the pattern here, which was literally they appeared, time went on, some sort of emotional reaction within myself or around me happened, and sometimes with other people that were around me. And you might be asking, like, how you might be preparing, or how might it help, even how this can help a person in a person's life, or in their practical material life. So what I started doing really is making the notes of what these events were as well. This person had a fight with this person, or I had a reaction, or they had a reaction, trigger, or making notes about these events as well. So what this did was it started to prepare me. So every time I saw these, I saw these spheres, these white lights that you can see on this image as well. Every time I was like, okay, I went to a more calmer place. I started looking, okay, so here they are again. So this is a high probability that something is going to happen quite soonish. And actually started emotionally, that event itself started emotionally preparing me for, for these sometimes not so pleasant events, but we can say transformational events. So what this actually, in the deeper sense, did was it made me calmer during these events. It made me more present during these events, so I could solve these issues, solve these matters, solve these emotional stuff that was coming to play, in a way. I could solve these in a better way, in a calmer way, be sometimes even, kind of like detached observer role when it was not to do with me. And so it was easier to handle, because a lot of the times these emotional events, like I said, would mean, people fighting with each other, emotional reactions from others towards me, emotional reactions from me towards other people, and fights between others that I would witness, or fights with me and the other person. I'm not saying physical fights. I'm saying more verbal, emotional, reactive fights. And these, for me, with these fears coming, these were the main ones that I could. Usually, it was one of the things I just mentioned. Fights with others, emotional reaction, da da da. You get the gist. So, so if you are experiencing something like this, maybe you're seeing again these energies, these fears. I would urge you to start doing observations, writing it down. What is happening? What is happening during the event? How do you feel? What is happening after? So a couple of days, week, whatever the time frame is. Usually it's quite repetitive, so you can understand, okay, so this is associated with this. So I can make an observation. I can make a note of what this means this time, and how the energies were, and how the energies were communicating with me, and what could this mean. So what is happening during, what is happening after, how are you actually feeling during, and how are you actually feeling after the event as well. And also whenever they kind of leave, these moments can actually show you some clues of the event that is about to happen. And the next part is a little bit, already advanced, and you might not immediately get answer as well, but asking, why you're here, what are you here to show me, what is the information you're here to convey to me. And you might get the answers you might get aren't always the clearest ones, because these guys, they help us, but part of why we're here on this planet Earth is to learn, is to grow, is to mature, as humans, as souls, as consciousness. So if they tell you everything, like to the detail, what is about to happen to you, sometimes, it doesn't, you're not going to grow as much. So sometimes they give you just kind of tiny bits and pieces, but yeah, sometimes they give you exact things and visions and images and information that is about to happen as well. So be open there and ask questions as well. So these are the things you can do to start understanding what is actually going on with you more. And guys, I hope this helps. Please let me know in the comments below, because I definitely might do more of these kinds of spiritual things. And if you haven't checked out, I did a video before this, again in Pisces season, about dreams, about visionary dreams, about different ways that our spirit guides can connect with us, or can even almost like want our attention, and the clues and the information they're sending, sometimes through weird things, sometimes through prophetic dreams, sometimes through taking us into other dimensions, astral dimensions, and showing us things. And please go and check that out. Let me know if you're enjoying these. Is it giving you something? Is it making sense? Is something happening to you similar? And how are you finding these? Are you communicating? Are you finding that connection with them? And remember, most of these forces, or a lot of these forces, are still benevolent. They're wanting to communicate with us. They're here to help us. They're here to guide us. So don't be scared if you can, and make observations. Do your best, and let me know in the comments below how you're doing. Guys, thank you very much for listening, watching. Hopefully this gave you something to chew on that helps you in your life. Ian Altosaar, the Freedom Astrologer, out for now. Like, share, subscribe the video, and see you again soon in the next one.